Book of Life, a show about Jewish books, music, film, and web. I'm Heidi Estrin. The Book of Life is a podcast service of the Feldman Library at Congregation B'nai Israel in Boca Raton, Florida. Additional support comes from the Association of Jewish Libraries. The keynote at Book Expo America this year in 2010 was Barbara Streisand, talking, of all things, about a book she wrote on interior design. Sitting in the audience, waiting for the presentation to start, I entertained myself by interviewing my neighbor, who turned out to be a Jewish author. Here's Rochelle Louis, author of Pulani, a memoir of growing up in apartheid South Africa. In my opinion, Rochelle's book sounds a lot more exciting than Barbara's. Take a listen and let me know what you think.
My name is Rochelle Louis, and my book is Pulani. The name Pulani means rain, and that's the name that was given to me by my Sotho head cook. And it is a book about growing up in South Africa during the apartheid years.
Okay, and then you just told me that you were at the Jewish Book Network event, so tell me what the Jewish connection is with your book.
The Jewish connection of my book is that my grandmother from my mother's side came out from Gdansk with her family. She was Jewish, and she was orphaned and eventually married a Christian Lebanese guy. Forever the Jewish roots of who I feel close within myself is because of my grandmother's roots, and that's the affinity I feel still today.
Okay, and tell us a little bit about what inspired you to put your life down on paper.
Well, a lot of people know about apartheid, a lot of people know about AIDS and about the democratic country that it is today. But how many people know how we lived in South Africa during the apartheid years?
Give us a little bit of a teaser of the book. Tell us something exciting or interesting that happens within this memoir.
All right. There was a time when I was faced with choosing between my daughter and my son when somebody wanted to kidnap my daughter. So I was faced with that choice of whether I was going to shoot the guy or not. So there's a lot of... read the book.
You have to tell a little bit more about that. You got to tell a little more about that.
Well, my daughter was 4 years old and my son was just born. And it was the first time I was going home to visit my mother after we had moved to a town far away from my mom. I was going on myself and my two children and the maid, and we were in the car. My husband said, take the gun. And I said, why do I need a gun? I don't need a gun. He says, just take a gun. You never know. I said, I'm not going to go and need a gun. You know how we never listen to our husbands? Well, of course. I said, okay, we'll put it in the glove compartment. We're traveling along. It's my daughter, myself, the maid, and my son, who is then an infant. And we're going past a mountain ridge, and as we're coming down the mountain, we see the snowman. Now, in South Africa, we don't get much snow. So this was very unusual to see the snowman in the middle of the field. So, of course, I stopped, being inquisitive, and my daughter says she wants to see the snowman. So we stop on the side of the road. I get out, and there's a barbed wire fence, and the snowman is in the middle of the field. And my daughter says she wants to take a photo. So I say to the maid, stay in the car with the baby. I'm going to climb over the fence, take a picture of Nicole, my daughter, and we'll come back. So I very precariously get her over, and so I get over, and it's a few yards up, and we take a picture. The first picture I take I wasn't happy with, but the second picture, before I took it, it was as if the noise in the air had suddenly dramatically increased, and I couldn't understand why. And I would look around, and there'd be no noise. And yet in my head, I was feeling all these incredible noises of winds that was going around in my... It was as if the spirits were going around me in my head. And I said, but there's nothing yet. Why am I so afraid? There's nothing. As I was about to take the photo, a truck comes down full of Africans that I didn't recognize. They were not of our tribe. They slowed down, and I knew it. As they were slowing down, they saw the car. My bag was in the car. My keys were in the car. The baby was in the car. The maid was in the car. I was with the snowman and my daughter, and I figured that if I left my daughter there and got to the car, leapfrogged over, that was the only way I'd get to the car before they did. If I took her with, I wouldn't get there. So I told her to stay at the snowman. I leapfrogged over the fence, got to the car just as they pulled out, and two of them climbed out and said, "So what do you have here?" they said. And I said, "Just go away, I'm going to shoot you." The driver said, "Go fetch the little girl at the snowman." And I said, "You do that, and I'm going to kill you." Read the book.
Oh my God, well now that's a teaser. That is a very dramatic cliffhanger, oh my God. Okay,
Yeah.
and so when did you write this book? When did it come out?
It's coming out July 2010. I wrote it about 4 years ago, and it took me 4 years every night, 10 to 2 in the morning. The first year I just had to pour out a lot that I'd buried. So because I've lived practically 9 cat lives. So I think I'm on borrowed cat lives right now.
Great, well thank you. Congratulations, and look forward to reading it.
Thank you.
There are so many ways to connect with the Book of Life. Fan us at facebook.com/Book of Life Podcast. Follow us at twitter.com/Book of Life Pod. Email us at bookoflifepodcast@gmail.com or leave us a voicemail at 561-206-2473. You can also listen to the latest episode by phone at 916-313-3820. And of course, find links to everything at bookoflifepodcast.com. The Book of Life is a podcast service of the Feldman Library at Congregation B'nai Israel in Boca Raton, Florida, at cbiboca.org, and is supported in part by the Association of Jewish Libraries at jewishlibraries.org. Our background music is provided by the Freilach Makers Klezmer String Band at freilachmakers.com. Thanks for listening, and happy reading.